the freshly minted British Open champ, Phil Mickelson, back on the show. He joins us now from New York City. We had your caddy, Bones Mackay, on Tuesday, and he said that Sunday was the best round he had ever seen you play. It's been a couple of days removed. What do you think of the round?
Well, Dan, first of all, I love playing second fiddle to my man Bones. Thanks for giving the offer to him first to be on your show. Very cool.
Well, he said he wanted for you, so I thought I'd go to him first, and then I would talk to you.
I get it. And, Dan, it really was one of the most emotional weeks and emotional days for us because, you know, it was the biggest accomplishment of my career because it was a tournament and a style of golf that I never grew up playing. I had to relearn as I went along, and it took me a couple of decades to be able to come out on top, and I wasn't sure if I ever would. And he and I had you know, we've been through such highs and lows, and Dan, just a month ago, was the biggest emotional low, toughest loss of my career in the U.S. Open. And I think that adds to why this is one of my best accomplishment in my career because I had to put that aside and be able to get back to playing golf at the highest level and win the most challenging event of my career. I mean, I can't even express how gratifying, how fulfilling this feels, and how emotional it was for us.
If I had told you on that Sunday after you didn't win the U.S. Open, don't worry, in a month you're going to win the British Open, what would you have said?
Well, I mean, it would have been great to have known that back then because I probably would have felt a little bit better, but it took me a few days to just lying in bed. I was like a zombie, just not knowing how I was going to get through this. And we had a trip planned to Montana, and that really helped me with a bunch of our friends. We went up there and we went fly fishing and zip lining and trap shooting and whitewater rafting and there was a great scientist, a very famous paleontologist, Jack Horner, who was really inspirational because he at the Museum of the Rockies there, he gave us a tour and showed us and explained to us why he was the first person to ever break an egg and find an embryo of a dinosaur. And he said, you know, people had found these dinosaur eggs before, but nobody had the guts to break the egg and look and see if they could find an embryo. And he did and found the first one. And he said, sometimes you have to think outside the box. Sometimes you have to take on a new challenge. And that talk and that time with him kind of retrained my thought process. And it got me thinking, you know, I'm playing some of the best golf of my career. And I've got to think a little bit outside the box and refocus and see if I can go finish this year strong. And to be able to turn around and win the British Open is just amazing. But that trip really helped get me out of a funk I was in.
But here's the thing, thinking out of the box, you've always done that as a player. I would think, if anything, you almost have to say, I'm going to reprogram myself because the way I play golf is not the way you win the British Open. You almost have to say, okay, I'm going to give in to the elements, the conditions, the style, and that may have been a tough surrender for you.
It might have been. I think that, not carrying a driver and taking the temptation to hit driver out of my head, in all seriousness, retrain my thought process of, look, I'm just trying to get the ball in the fairway. Priority one on the tee is to get the ball in the fairway. And I hit a lot of fairways, and the ones that I didn't went into the first cut a lot of the times. With the exception of the second hole, which I struggled with off the tee the last 3 days, I drove the ball very well on that golf course and gave myself a chance to play the course aggressively. And I really think a lot of it was because of the conservative approach off the tee and not having that temptation to stand up and just hit a bomb downwind. We saw guys driving the 15th hole, knocking it on, and I saw a lot of guys trying to drive the 15th hole, making 5s and 6s because they hit it in a bad spot, and I didn't have that temptation.
He's Phil Mickelson joining us, Dan Patrick Show. You make the putt on 18, and you know there are a lot of guys left on the course, but you raise your hands. I mean, that was a triumphant, that I've won this. Did you feel that I've won this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When I would have acted had I two-putted, I would have acted like it wasn't over, but I knew that it was. But when it went in, I knew it was over. Those holes were so tough coming down the stretch. Now, how I birdied them, I honestly, I hit just perfect shots, some of the best of my life, and made the putts. But those holes, like 16, when when my ball rolled off the green, my thought was, you know what, everybody else has to play this hole too. Let me make par. And I knew there's no way you're going to make a 2 on that hole. Guys were making 4s and 5s. There's no way to get it anywhere near that hole. I mean, a great shot was 50, 60 feet. And when I played the 18th hole, I knew if I made par, I was going to win the British Open. I knew that was a done deal. In fact, I thought if I bogeyed it, I still might, but I knew 2 under would win it for sure. And when I made the putt, it was over.
I don't know if you collapsed into your caddy's arms or vice versa. I mean, it's emotional, and then you've got, your wife and kids are there, and how do you process that when you're done? You can't play anymore. You have to see how this plays out. Your Bones is crying. I don't know if you are. Then you go over to Amy and the kids. What are you thinking?
I said to Bones, I did it. I mean, part of it was, half belief. It was such an emotional day that I had accomplished a career goal that I had said for years. If I ever won the British Open, it'd be the greatest accomplishment of my career. And to stand on the 18th green knowing that I have won and sharing it with Bones and sharing it with Amy and our 3 kids, Amanda, Evan, Sophia, and having my manager of 20-plus years, my entire career, Steve Loy, there, and having Butch Harmon there, and when I got home, having my mom and dad and Amy's mom and dad and family there, just I can't explain how cool that is. It's fulfilling a dream. It's what I've dreamt of.
You waited a while to win your first major. What were you, 33?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, but that doesn't happen. Like you've had this 10-year run of 33 to 43 where you win your majors. Why?
I don't have a great answer for you. I mean, other than I finally shot the lowest score, but I don't have a great answer. It's just that I'm starting to play some of the best golf of my career. I mean, working with Dave Pelz in December of '03, just before the Masters, and preparing for the Masters, he really helped me develop a preparation to get my best golf out in those events. And for the last 10, 11 years, a majority of the time I've been able to do that. But honestly, I'm starting to play some of the best golf of my career, and I'm very fortunate because I've had these last few years, a few challenges. But by being diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, I've had to make some life changes. I've had to make some dietary changes. I've had to make some daily exercise and workouts and so forth. I have to refocus my practice, and I'm playing some of the best golf that I've ever played.
Where's the claret jug right now?
Right by my side. Come on, what kind of question is that?
Well, I didn't know. If I walk into your house, how long do I have to wait or navigate before I see trophies?
Well, I actually don't leave trophies lying around the house. I have an office that I have everything in, and that's the only spot. So not too far.
We're both Callaway guys. I just haven't seen the results you have, so I just wanted to let you know. I love the clubs, but I even asked Bones if he caddied for me, would it help me, and he said no.
Well, when I was 14, I first hit a 60-degree lofted wedge, and it changed my game. But since then, this 3-wood that I've been using, our new 3-wood, has changed my game more than any club since putting a 60-degree wedge in my bag, because I am a high spin player, which is why I struggle at the British Open. I hit put a lot of spin on the ball. This 3-wood is a low spinning 3-wood, and so I'm able to make my normal swing and get the optimum launch conditions for a driver off of my 3-wood. So my spin rate with a normal 3-wood is half as much as it used to be, which is why I'm able to hit shots like I did on 17. I mean, this is a huge part. Math and science is a huge part of my success, working with the engineers at Callaway and so forth. And I don't know if you know this, but this is one of my favorite weeks right now. As much as I loved winning the Scottish Open and winning the British Open, my favorite week of the year is the week after the British Open, when Amy and I come to New York City to go to our Mickelson ExxonMobil Teachers Academy, where we teach 200 teachers new innovative ways to inspire their students in the math and sciences, because it's part of our everyday life.
Now, you've had this for about is this 9th or 10th year?
It's our ninth year. And let me tell you something. A lot of people think that math and science is not in your everyday life. Let me tell you about Bones. My man Bones in college was struggling to graduate because of one math class, and he needed to get a passing grade, a D, to graduate. And he ended up studying for hours and days for his final, and he did not. And he has to get a good grade on this final to pass. He looks at when the day comes, he looks at the first few questions and realizes he has no chance. So what he does is, he writes out a note to the teacher, if you ever can find it in your heart to give me a passing grade so I can graduate, I promise you I will never enter a field that involves math. So 2 weeks go by, and he goes to get his grade, and he got a D, and he was able to graduate.
That's good.
Now, when I first come out on tour early in the mid-'90s, I'm walking down the 18th hole in Atlanta, this little par 5 dogleg left at Atlanta Country Club, and some quack is in the gallery yelling at me, "You lied to me! You lied to me!" He wasn't pointing at me. He was pointing at Bones. It was his math teacher as Bones was adding up the yardage.
Before I let you go, your Chargers, are you guaranteeing a playoff spot?
No, I'm optimistic, like anybody that that our personnel. And here's the thing: Mike McCoy's our new coach, and I've never met him, but what I'm excited about is that he took Tim Tebow when he was with Denver and made the Broncos a successful team that went to the playoffs and won their first playoff game. But he also the next year developed an offense built around Peyton Manning and made them one of the best teams in the league. And I'm hopeful that he's able to take our personnel and do the same thing.
Good to visit with you. And congrats again. Good luck in the PGA.
Dan, thanks for having me back on the show. It's been a fun few weeks.
All right. That's the Mickelson ExxonMobil Teachers Academy. And it's 9th year there with Phil. That's a funny story about Bones. You lied to me. Because I was wondering about that there is math in golf as you're adding up scores. Phil's the one who keeps the scorecard. Bones is doing all the yardage there.